All right, welcome back to Recreating Connections, a Recreation Resources Service podcast. We're continuing Recreation Resource Service Month with a special guest, but before I introduce her, my name is Alex Cadet. I am the outreach consultant with RRS, and I have my co-host.
Hey, I'm Holly Henry, and I'm the University Program Associate,
And we have special guest today,
the very, very special
the
guest,
very, very special
the
guest,
VIP of all VIPs.
Director of RRS, Charlynne Smith.
This
Charlynne.
I'm the spatial guest. We'll do that.
That is true.
That works too. So, Charlene, you've had such a wide-ranging career from park ranger to interpreter, researcher, educator, and now the RRS director. What first drew you into the world of parks and recreation, and how did your early experiences shape your path?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure how they shaped it, but well, as a kid, well, I grew up in the 70s, so kids in the 70s, you're outdoors playing all the time. I did grow up. We lived in an apartment complex. I was one of the latchkey children, as we were called back then. We'd come home, but after school, all the kids in the neighborhood, we would meet in the like open space area, and if it was whatever season it was, if it was football season, we were playing football. If it was baseball season, we were doing something with that. So definitely play was very big growing up. But I probably got into the field going to camp. I went to a resident Girl Scout camp every summer, and I ended up being a counselor there. In high school, you do the counselor and training. And when I came to NC State, well, in high school, visiting different colleges, we were at an open house, and come by and see at that time it was Recreation Resources Administration program. I was talking to them, and I'm like, you mean you can get a degree in this and this could be a career field? I had no idea that that was an option. So I applied and started in that program, and it was probably through camp administration that I got started. I think I was probably one of the few people that started and finished in our program. So a lot of people transfer in when they see the light and come to
Yeah.
recreation. But yeah, so that's kind of how I got started. And when I graduated, I worked in environmental education. I enjoyed doing interpretive stuff, and ended up being a park ranger with Mecklenburg County. Went through police school with that. That was a law enforcement position. So it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. Worked at greenways, nature parks, and then eventually, after I got married, lived in a state park. My husband was a state park ranger, but ended up working at a historic site. So that was again doing some interpretation, so natural, doing historic interpretation. And then I decided to come back to school, and I enjoyed park planning when I took those courses. But having worked in the parks, I saw a lot of things where it's like, oh, we could do this better. Whether it was related to safety and law enforcement or interpretation. Just being in the parks, I had that passion for park planning, and came back and worked on my master's in natural resources, but focused on spatial information systems. So
So you've been with NC State since 1997 in a variety of roles. How did you first get connected with Recreation Resources Service, and what ultimately led you to become the director?
okay, well, yeah, I've been here for a while. Well, when I finished up my master's, or let's go back to when I came here for my master's degree, working with Hugh Devine in the GIS program. Um, he set me up because my interest was in park planning. Um, I had an assistantship with Recreation Resources Service. I was the graduate research assistant working for Dr. Candace Good. And yeah, so that's how I got into RRS. I know I tell our grad students now that work for us, it's like I started back in the late 90s. I'm still here. So with RRS. But yeah, so that's how I got introduced to the consultants at that time, and in like 95, or yeah, 96. And kind of that was at the start of Partif. So there was a lot of consultants: Kathy White, Lou Ann Bryan, Steve Muller. So it was good, very much fun. Now, how I got to be director, I mean, when I graduated in 97 with my master's, I was working for RRS. Part of my job was with RRS, part of it was with the GIS Center. So my position was always split between the two. So I continued with doing park planning, conceptual plans for RRS and kind of helping with some technology things. But I was still working with the GIS program. We did some work with the National Park Service. We did a lot of education at that time through GIS. And for me, it was just now I'm still doing interpretation, but now I'm interpreting GIS. So how can we use it and apply it? But I continued. There was a time where I was a regional consultant for RRS. Then I went back working primarily for the GIS and then part-time for RRS, continuing with the park planning. I really, at one point when Pete became director, before he became director, folks asked if I was going to apply for the director job. But at that point in my career, I was not interested. I thought I'd probably go work somewhere else with GIS. So, and it worked out for the best. I don't think I was ready for it at that time. And I think RS is much better for for having Pete in that role and the things that he did to kind of build up RRS as well, as a full-time director. When Pete retired, everybody just looked at me like, Charlynne,
Do
It's
you need
time.
to apply. You need to
It's
apply.
your time.
Yeah, yeah. And everybody else realized it before I did. So,
With your research focus on participatory GIS and using technology and resource management, like you just discussed,
mhm,
how
mhm.
would you say that work influenced the way that you lead RRS today?
Well, my research was really folks. It was with a research the National Trail System. So across the state, I work with the Park Service on the Over Mountain Victory National Historic Trail, and those trails are, historic trails are trail where history occurred. There may or may not be something on the ground, but anyway, they traverse so many jurisdictions. So my interest became, how do we communicate between these jurisdictions? Because as a planner, you're planning just what's in your jurisdiction, your town. You don't really have authority to plan outside, but we need to collaborate, especially on trails, so we can make those connections. So that was really my desire in working with that. I saw those issues. So I think with influence with how I lead RRS, it's still back to the communication, collaboration between all different groups. We don't all work for the same agency, and RRS does a lot of that. In the field and how we're working and communicating and looking for ways to collaborate. And I'll map anything, as you know, but definitely want to I see it. I was looking at GIS as a means for communication. How can we communicate with each other? But as far as RRS, I've always been interested in, how can we apply technology, but to make our work more efficient. So, I'm not for using it just for the sake of using it. If it doesn't help you, if it's not efficient, help your work be more efficient, then don't do it. So,
So true. So for those who may not be familiar with us, RRS, and
mhm.
what we do, how would you describe RRS and the role it plays in supporting communities across North Carolina?
I always refer to RRS as extension for parks, because most people are familiar with, cooperative extension, ag extension across the state, and they kind of get what they do. And I sort of see that as our role as well. We work with communities all across the state. I mean, primarily you'll hear us talking to directors and departments, but we work the grants programs that we manage, like PARTF and LWCF. A lot of times that gets us into communities. That's our first introduction. So it's a small community that doesn't have a recreation department, but they're interested in a grant. So our consultants get introduced that way. And a lot of times when we go in there, it's like, oh, we can help them with some other things too. So whether it's training an advisory board, or sometimes communities want to establish a parks department, we can help with that. Um, a lot of times in these small communities, it's just the consultant is someone from the outside that they can talk to. So I know I was trained by Kathy White, and she told me that when I was like first going out in the field visiting all these counties. She goes, it's going to take longer than you think, so just allow time, because they're going to want to talk to you. So they'll start asking about other things and connections, and it's just service that we do, but yeah, that I think that's the main thing. That is how we interact with communities.
Yeah, Holly and I tried to keep it to one sentence and
Yeah.
we couldn't do it. So,
It's hard.
it
Yeah, we
is.
do a lot. We do a
Yeah.
lot.
So you've been leading RRS since 2018. How has the team and its responsibilities evolved over time, and what stands out to you about working with your current team?
Well, so the team we have now, I mean, thinking back, I mean, everybody we've had with RS has been awesome, but I'm excited about the team we have now and how everybody works together. Just the camaraderie. Even we're spread out around the state. When we get together, you can tell. It's like it's a family.
It
Um,
is.
yeah, and well, even I mean, we're communicating all the time. But I love our team. It's very diverse in the backgrounds that people bring. So Brittany has served as a director in a small community, so she brings the knowledge of that. Blake was, he was in the Peace Corps. You're working with all kinds of things there.
Mhm.
But he's also has some aquatics backgrounds. Terry and Scott have extensive experience with larger departments, and Trey has a lot of outdoor leadership experience. And Alex has the podcast voice to yeah, no, Alex, just your enthusiasm to get out, help folks, just you bring a lot of park experience as well to that, but just your passion for doing outreach, I think is great. And then Holly keeps me going at the main office. It keeps all of us going. I
Thanks.
call I call her the glue.
Thanks.
That's her name.
She's
Holly the
super
Glue Henry. I
glue.
like it. Yep.
She's super glue. But
So,
no, the team we have now, just the ideas people, we come up with on new education opportunities and everything. Everybody contributes. Yeah, it's a great team. I love you guys.
I agree. I agree.
We are a
So,
great team.
so Charlene, from your extensive Parks and Recreation experience, what are the biggest opportunities and challenges facing recreation services in North Carolina right now?
I don't know. This is a tough question. There's a lot as you listen to folks, a lot of changing right now. There's a lot of how do we manage politics or your elected officials.
Hmm.
Um, Years ago at the directors conference, we had a new director little session, and Harold Moses, who is a long time, he was probably with the Technical Advisory Service back when it started, but definitely in the 60s and 70s. But he was retired, but he came out and he's like, the challenges they're facing now have been the challenges all along. It's dealing with the public, dealing with elected officials, worried about the budget, and just supervising people. So how do you do that? So um, I think those are challenges. Definitely getting um, recruiting employees, but also communicating with the elected officials on the value that we bring to a community. I mean, that's the opportunity because right now the outdoor recreation economy is huge and the focus is on economic impact. So I think that's an opportunity that we can do. And a challenge. I think folks that go into recreation, our tendency is to not just on ourselves. We just assume people should know why it's so important to have these, athletic programs for kids, and we don't boast on what we do and what the impact is. So that's always been a challenge to kind of um, help folks tell that story. And so I'm very interested in how we can collect data and then how we can help communities share that impact.
So, stepping away from the director's chair, who is Charlynne Smith outside of work, and what are some of your favorite ways to recharge and enjoy recreation personally?
All right. Outside work, I'm still Charlene. I'm just hanging out. My husband and I, we do, like I said, he was a park ranger, so we enjoy similar things and we love to get out. And lately it's been bird watching. I love getting out and seeing wildlife, but but definitely when we go on vacation, we'll find little places to hike on a trail, check out the wildlife. Got a little dog, got a little miniature dachshund, um, little kangaroo. He's he's always hunting for lizards and things. So take him on the trail, but scent hounds, they're gonna go off the trail. They're gonna follow things. But definitely hanging out with family and getting outdoors is my favorite things to do.
So finally, if you could, and I know this is a tough question, but if you could give one piece of advice to students or young professionals hoping to build a career in parks and recreation, what would it be?
Okay, One Piece. Is this supposed to be one sentence again?
No, not
Because
one
I
sentence.
can't
You're
do
good.
that. No, I mean, I would say, do what you're passionate about, what you enjoy. I remember, going into recreation when I graduated, I'm like, all right, I'm ready to go. And then I don't think I realized how many different choices there were at that time. You can go into athletics. I did more natural resources. Um, so, find that and test those out. You might work in one area. It's like, nah, this just isn't a good fit for me and what I want to do. But, you can stick that out while you look for other places. So there's a lot of different avenues to take in the field of parks and recreation. So I would say, just find that if you're a student, do those internships, work part-time. I know it's not a lot of money, but that experience is great. In not only the experience you build, but in making connections, and demonstrating your value to the people that want to hire you. So,
Definitely.
um,
Yeah, that's what I
and
love the
just
most
keep,
about this field too. So many avenues.
yeah, yeah, and just keep even after you're hired. I mean, part of what we do with RRS is that continuing education, professional development, and that's so important. To do to keep up your skills, to keep up networks. You'll find new things that you want to do or try, and just build those leadership skills. We can do RRS has women's leadership, and then we have professional or park and recreation leader development. I'm going to do advertisements here, plugs for all of our programs. And in the Ogilvy schools, as we call them. So up at Ogilvy in Wheeling, West Virginia, we work with the National Training Center there, or not RRS, PRTM works with that. And there's a number of schools. There's a maintenance management school, supervisors management school. I was director of that for, gosh, maybe 14 years, where I did that. And I learned so much there and met people um, from all over the country. So those schools, the networks that you build, not only you're learning from practitioners who are the instructors, but you meet people from all over the country, and it's like, oh, how are you dealing with this? So you just find different perspectives, and the schools are great when they were when they were set up. So
That's great. So yeah,
mhm.
Charlene, we could talk to you all day, but
All day.
Okay, all
but we're
day.
gonna we're gonna
Yeah.
get you we're gonna get you back out to helping the state out right now.
Okay, okay. I got to answer more emails.
Right now. But no, appreciate you for coming on, Charlene, and we're gonna have you back on eventually. So
Okay. Yeah, yeah. Let's do it.
but yeah, thanks for listening, and we'll continue Recreation Resources Service Month.
Thanks, guys.